Hello, today I'm going to show you how I made my own handheld water bottle for running. Well, I didn't make the bottle, I just made the strap, but you get the idea. This is a product I've used for many years. It's an Ultimate Direction Scott Jurek edition strap. It's nice and light and simple. I've always liked it, but I went to buy a second one and I didn't see it on the website, so I thought maybe I could adapt a Paracord bracelet design that I had seen online to work with the water bottles. Here's a winter version. So it's a thermos, vacuum insulated bottle, and by holding onto the strap you don't have the heat all drawn out of your fingers, and you don't freeze your fingers in the winter time, so it's a nice system. So yeah, you can adapt it to just about any bottle you like, and I'll also show you how I made this bracelet. This is called a blaze bar braid, or weave, I'm not sure what you call it. All the other videos I saw online, they essentially used two separate pieces of cord. So I thought I'd see if I could come up with a way to use just a single strand. And the nice thing about this is it doesn't use a buckle in here either, so you can have a little bit more paracord with you without using up that space for the buckle. So it's pretty simple, and there's a couple little tricks in there that I thought I'd share. So stay tuned. Oh, and the one other thing I failed to mention is this is a quick deploy weave. So essentially, if you take this knot out, pull these cords out through this loop, and then just yank on these two strings, the weave will completely deploy without any knots in it. So I'll show you that in a little bit as well. So the first thing you'll need to do is find an old piece of 2x4 or plywood or MDF or anything you've got laying around. It doesn't really matter. And four wood screws. And the spacing on these is pretty arbitrary. You need, I don't know, 1.5 inches between these two screws down here. This distance is a little more critical. You just want enough length here for, this is where all the braiding will take place. So you need enough length there for whatever you're gonna make. I made this about 10 inches. Could probably go a little bit more than that. And then the fourth screw up here, maybe 6 inches beyond this other single screw. And then what you want to do is take a piece of paracord, or whatever cord you're using, it doesn't really matter, but it should be the same diameter as the finished product that you're working on. Start at the single screw at the top, come down, wrap around first bottom screw up to the middle, back down, and then back to the top, and tie that off. Okay, don't worry about cutting that or anything, because we're gonna take this apart after. You're not going to use this green paracord. Okay, so I'm going to start with this short piece of paracord. It's about, I don't know, 2 feet long, something like that. It'll just be a little easier to demonstrate how to get this project started. So find the center of the cord. Put that where the screw is. And just lay it across like so. Now take this bottom strand, tuck it through the middle and off to the right. So everything's on top except for that. Now the top strand, tuck it under the bottom strand. Go over the right, under the left, up through this loop. Okay, and then just snug that up, make a knot. Now you're going to start with the right strand. You're going to go under the right, over the left, leave a little loop here, and go over that strand, go under the left, over the right, down through that loop, and snug that up. So that's the first, I guess, starting sequence. Okay, so we're going to do the next full sequence. We're going to start with the left, go over the left side, under the right, leave a little loop, this strand, under, over the right side, under the left, up through that loop. Now the right side, go under the right side, over the left, over that strand, under the left side, over the right, and down through that loop. So that's the first full, or the second sequence, I suppose. So now you can tell if you're doing this right. You can see two bars, vertical bars on each side, little vertical segments. And down the center, you can see it coming from the left and the right, left, right, left, right, left, right. That'll zigzag left to right. If you see two in a row coming from either side into the center, you've done something wrong and you'll have to back up and start again. Okay, I'll show you one more sequence. Start from the left, over the left, under the right, leaving a loop. Right side, you go under that strand, over the right, under the left, up through the loop. Snug that up. Start from the left, go under this time, the right side, then over the left, leave a loop, go over that strand, under the left side, over the right, down through the loop. So there's another full sequence. Now before we get too far, and the reason I started with this short piece of cord, we can take these green strands off the nails at the bottom here, and we can pull those out now. And I'll just demonstrate the quick deploy feature of this weave. So if you pull that right out, you'll see that this comes apart without any knots. It's just a bit of a twist, but there's no knots in there. So you'll know if you've done it right if it comes apart without knots. If there's knots in there, then you've done something wrong. So I'll redo this with a longer piece of paracord now. I won't show you all the steps again. You can rewind if you need to see that. And then I'll get to a point where I can show you how to finish it off. So I've done all this off camera and we're just going to finish it up. I'll do one last sequence here. So over the left, under the right, come under that loop, over the right, under the left, through the loop. Snug that up. Now the right side goes under the right, over the left, over that loop, under the left, over the right, and through that loop. Okay, so you want to make sure that this ends with a vertical section on each side. Now that's done, you can kind of snug all this down away from the screw a little bit. And then you can take this off. I'll untie this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So now we're done with the board. And we're left with this. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to take enough of this to reach to this end. And we're going to tie that to there. The best thing you can use for this is if you're using paracord, you want a very small strand, so you can pull one of these center core strands out. These are really nice and strong, so you can yank on them good. So now you want to tie these together. Okay. And now you want to take these two strands, which are running down this side, connected to this, and you want to pull that through. And that's going to pull this red paracord through and replace the green. This is why you want to use something really strong for this, because it takes a lot of force to pull that through. So keep pulling on that until this gets good and like wrapped tight around the end here. Okay. You can get rid of this. Oops. Okay, and then do the same thing with this side. Okay, so again, I'll take these two green strands, pull that through. Okay, so we're done with this green paracord, and this is basically the finished product. So there's two loops on one end and two straight pieces on the other. So now we're going to take this and mount it to the bottle. This is what I'm trying to duplicate. It's just a simple handheld strap. So these two loops, just wrap those around the bottom of the bottle. Okay. And now you can pull these straight ends, and that snugs it up. So this is nice and tight against around the bottle. And then this end, oops. I'll just put these clips back on here. So this is a little spring-loaded clip. And you can wrap these around a couple times. Tighten this up. And so now you've got nice handheld when you go out running. The other thing I like to use this on is in the winter, because my drink freezes in this, up here in Winnipeg. So I like to take an insulated, vacuum insulated water bottle, and on this I find after a little while this starts to slip up the bottom of the bottle on me, and then it gets floppy. So what I found is if I take one loop so that it fits around, and then the other loop I make it come under the bottom, but to make it hold on this first loop, what I do is I put this loop through the middle of this and then pull these down, so it forms a kind of cradle now. Put the bottle back through here, the one loop, and the other one can go underneath. And again, you can tighten that up by just yanking the one strand to tighten that one up. And you can adjust how high this goes just by adjusting the length of this side. And again, you take the top end, wrap it around here a few times. You can either tie a knot or use one of these clips, whatever you like. And again, you've got your bottle for going out for a run. And the nice thing about this is in the winter, instead of holding onto the bottle, you can hold it this way as well, because I find the aluminum bottles really draw the heat away from your hands, and you freeze your hands pretty quick if you're holding onto the bottle. So now you can run like that in the winter, and it's keeps your hands warmer, keeps your drink cool, and or warm, I suppose, so that it doesn't freeze on you. So there you go. If you're out in the bush running around backcountry, if you find you need some strong paracord, this is 550 pound break strength. So if you need this for any reason when you're out and about, simply take these ends, pull these out, pull them through, and you've got 15 feet of paracord with you at all times, which can be quite handy. So now that this braid is done, you can take these loose ends, run them up through the loops, pull those loops tight, and you've got a sliding fit on here now. You can do the same thing on the other end, or the other part. Run that through the loop. So it's a little bit tighter. Tighten that up. And now you can see that depending on how tight you pull these strings, it tightens up that loop around the strands here. And then you can just finish these ends however you like, but just keep in mind that if you want to unravel this bracelet at any time, you just need to pull these strands out of these loops, pull the ends through. I won't do it now because it'll all come unraveled, but if you pull these out and then yank on this end, the entire bracelet will come apart in one piece, all one single strand of paracord. So you can see how much you need here to get the bracelet off your wrist. Okay, tie a knot in there. Oops. Sorry, I'm running off camera here. And then you can trim these ends and finish them off. Okay. So what I like to do to finish these ends, just so they don't look ugly and come unraveled, I made up a little tool here. It's got a 5/32 inch hole drilled in it, and the ends are countersunk a little bit. And what I do is I just take the vacuum hose, hold that over the vacuum hose. And you can singe the end of this with a lighter or a little torch. Get a decent ball on the end, and then pull that in about halfway in. Let that cool, and then once you pull it out, it makes a nice clean end on there. And because it's nice and small, because it's nice and small, when you want to deploy this bracelet, that end will easily pull out through the loop. And do that on the other end. That one came out even nicer. So now just tie these ends back together. And there's all kinds of different ways you can finish these ends. A lot fancier ways than what I'm doing it here. Okay, so that's it. Hopefully that was somewhat interesting and useful to you. I'll just mention one last thing before I sign off. When you're doing this braid or this weave, try not to tighten each section too much. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time replacing that inner core when you pull it through. So just keep that in mind. If it doesn't work out, you can always just unravel everything and start over again. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and take good care of yourselves and each other. Thanks.